Well, it's not a good night for storytelling. There's a cold wind at my back. It's about 53 degrees. I've been looking. I even put in the eagle line, tried to, um, just kind of bouncing around, trying to thought out. Although it's not bad at this point in my life, it's since I have kind of a photographic memory. I think in pictures. Yeah. I came across Flags of Our Fathers, and I'm going, is that Clint Eastwood's sequel to the Flags of Iwo Jima or whatever? I started watching it, and immediately I remembered a story, and I considered that a good story about character. So here goes. This is a story about character and what's commonly used in the military to see who will be the stand-up guy. Group punishment. My fifth grade teacher was a Mr. Adams. I would have to dig to remember his first name. He's just Mr. Adams to me. Nice man, wore black horn-rimmed glasses, always neat, clean, military precise. Nice guy. Fifth grade. Sixth grade with Miss Powell in Vietnam. I was chosen to deliver the class sympathy. That woman almost hugged the life out of me. So, no, really, I went to her back door. I was told she'd be expecting me, and she wanted to see me, her favorite student. Her son had gotten killed in Vietnam, and early on, gosh, yeah, hell, that would have been 60. Yeah, like 65, 60. He was one of the first casualties in Vietnam. Mr. Adams he told me the story of him being after the story I'm about to tell you. He told me, I think, kind of as a reward. He didn't never talk about it. None of us knew he was tight lipped, kind of like my dad. And he told me that he was on Iwo Jima and just probably less than 100 yards, 100 feet. It's hard to judge when you're a fucking kid, hear anything. You're really having a little trouble seeing from all the concussions. But on Iwo Jima, but raising the flag, he survived that battle, came home intact. Of course, look at all the men that died, and literally probably stepping on dead bodies on the way up. They don't talk about it much, but the story is about, I grew up with a guy I've already told you about. He dropped dead at 42 from anxiety and fear. He had been verbally abused because he was, early in life, I guess, he really had bad parents. His dad was kind of a corner cutting carpenter, slapdash, even in paint jobs, he was always substandard. Shit would fall apart. As long as he was getting paid, he didn't give a damn. He might make it look nice, but within a few days or a few months, you could tell his son was the same way. You can look him up, Kenneth Earl Davis. He been dead a long fucking time. Grew up with a kid. At first, I was one side of him, then the other, but I was usually always the one kid my age group that always had cash money from work. And other little kids like him, the moocher types or the hangers-on, always were attracted to the kid who's got a job. I started mowing lawns when I was 5 years old. I think it was on my 5th birthday, or day after my 5th birthday. I went up to my daddy. I know I'm making this an overly long story, but it's about character. Please remember. I don't think I'll have a bonus for it. Maybe, who knows. When I was a little kid, I always go up to my dad and go, Daddy, give me a nickel, because in those days, a nickel was there. You get a bottle of soda pop, one of them old machines where you had to slide it out to the lift up thing, and lift up lever. It was a like an upright. I mean, not an upright. Like a deep freeze. It's with the lid lifts up. The old Coca-Cola boxes. No, most of y'all don't. And you get, oh gosh, you get like these huge candy bars for a nickel, and oh gosh, for a nickel you could get like a push-up pop. What do you call that stuff? It's not ice cream, but it's the other. Well, whatever. See, I'm kind of calling them push-ups, and that would be only like 3 cents, and for another 2 cents you could get a handful of hard candies for 5 cents. And that was actually being run, that little corner store there was being run by a guy who may have lost his legs in World War II. We called him Mr. Cash because it said cash grocery. What it means is cash only, no credit. He mostly sold. There was several old guys that were probably veterans that did that in and around my area where I grew up in Bryan, Texas. And Kenny was kind of like his dad, was a liar and a thief. His dad was known to steal materials from off the job site and bring them home and start building an addition onto the house. It was slapdash, no good fucking piece of shit. When he had bought it, So one day, and he was always tagged because we were allowed to, because like the teachers knew that I lived right behind Mrs. Hope, one of the teachers, was right on the corner there across from the school. And our neighbors were very prominent. The Yeagers, and actually that may be Mr. Adams' family. The Adams family had a nice 2-story columned front, kind of. It wasn't quite it was just on the edge of the Victorian area. There were a few Victorian homes in town. And they found it what was the name of the bank? Took off real quick. I think he was part of that family. I mean, he was literally my next door fucking neighbor. He knew me and Kent and Kenny. He was always, and we'd go to, because my point was I got to go home for lunch because they knew my mom was just, but heck, by the time, and actually at first I went to school lunches and stuff. They were cheap. They were, carton of milk was like 2 cents or something like that, a half pint. It was 25 cents for lunch. Wasn't, But actually and usually I was already paying for them before I just decided, hell no, I like the little pecan pies and the soda pop and reading comics during the lunch break. That's what I did. That's by the time I went to work full time, that was one of the few breaks in the day. I'd go to lunch, and Kenny tag along. He'd run up a bill, put it on his family's tab, their credit. I did cash only. Cash. That's what I just say that it was the cash store is what the sign on, we called him Mr. Cash. And he was amputated just above the knee, both legs. I know, I'm trying to draw you a picture in your head. So by the time we got to 5th grade and shit, Kenny's Steven in line was picking up, and one day we went to lunch and I noticed it. I didn't say nothing. I thought, maybe. He all of a sudden had come up with it for really the first time I remember having one. Silver 50-cent piece. Silver 50-cent piece. And he actually paid instead of getting his ass beat at the end of the week for charging stuff to the family account. That was at the Ruffino's, Mr. Mike's. That was a full butcher shop, corn, local neighborhood store. Great guy. I probably already told part of his story, but then, yeah, at the end of the class, the teaching day, and he says, "You're all excused except for the boys. The boys stay behind." And then Mr. Adams just calmly sat at his desk and he said, uh, "Today, Eva Werbs." It was Eva. Eva Werbs, W-U-R-B-S, had a 50-cent silver 50-cent piece in her desk. It was missing by lunch. I know one of y'all did it. Y'all gonna be sitting here until somebody fesses up. So I sat there and I sat there and I sat there and I just kind of fixed my gaze. I waited for Kenny to do the right thing. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And then when he started cutting into my pocket, because I got to get to work, motherfucker, I abruptly stood up and I said, "Mr. Adams, Kenny Davis had a silver 50-cent piece at lunch. I was just giving him information, the best of my knowledge. I didn't accuse Kenny Davis of theft. It was pretty fucking obvious." So he goes, "You're excused, Mr. Kruger." And later he told me the story. The only bit he wanted to talk about was making it to the top of Suribachi. So that's part of my life story and characters. The other boys didn't know nothing, but he knew the only two boys that left school and didn't have a 50-cent piece in the lunchroom was right there in front of him. It had to be Kent or Kenneth. And Kent means wise. It means he who has seen. Even in German, Kenneth, it means looking around. He kenneth. Kin, within our kin. I'm teaching my English students here. Reconnoiter, reconnaissance tower, a reconnaissance, conning tower, all come from Ken. Kenneth, Kenny, Kent. Kent, past tense. He who has seen. He has Kent. I am Thomas Kent Kruger. Kruger is your bonus round. Kruger comes from two sources. It's spelled and pronounced about 20 different ways. The primary, most recognized source is from the making of German wine Kraugs. Some spell it like Krieg or Krieger, but it's still actually Kruger. And the first oldest is, I guess he was the one who encouraged the chanting, and also because I think he was the one who instituted celibacy within the Catholic Church, was Pope Gregor. Watch my mouth. Gregor, Krieger, Kruger, Krieger. I'm sorry, my tongue's tired. Even the English name Crocker, I'm pretty sure is Kruger, Gregorian chants probably is. I'm pretty sure that was. I haven't really studied that Pope that much, but I'm Krieger. That's the way my name's supposed to. Krieger is to a lot of Germans back in the day, around after the 50s, 60s, would pronounce it. It has an umlaut over the U, and you have to do this kind of funny tongue twisting thing. You have to kind of UE, and so, but that's so. And Thomas is two men. Watch my mouth. Oma, Oma, Toma, twins, two men, the strength of two men. My mother named me quite appropriately. I had the strength of two men at least. I was wise. And in modern German, for the last century or so, du bist eine Krieger, in that range, means jolly barman, joker. That was my dad. He was a joker. So, two strong, wise, and a joker. It's kind of the essence of my name. My mom had a divine gift for selecting her children's name. They're all appropriate, really. So you had your bonus round, and now you know that it took me a long time to, well, not that long. It took till I was, in my 20s to really study my own names and stuff. I actually had a kid whose last name was Thomas, and he had never, he was headed towards graduate, school at UT, and never had bothered. Then because he wasn't really, actually, he was going into a field that no longer requires linguistics. Science requires really good English skills, and after that, the computer does everything. But that's a sad and sorry tale of the character of Kenny Davis, is that he would not spare people that were friendly to him, like me, and generous to him, like me. He would have left me there all day hanging, doing that gay-ass gangster shit like, no, snitches get stitches because he didn't snuffle or anything, but he was a little prone to that Brokeback Mountain Willie Nelson about men who talk about in great intimate detail about every little thing about, you know what I'm talking about. Well, I hope I've been entertaining. I'm kind of tired. The arachidonyl ethanolamide, it lasted longer than the brief endorphin, the leucine and keflin, was about the equivalent of about 4 milligrams of morphine. It allowed me to get several more chores done. But now I'm dipping, and I know I have to lay down soon in order to start towards the peak of the nictohemeral cycle and stuff. I will be going to bed early tonight, and shit. Yeah, Starbucks closed up more than an hour ago. They just kind of, sometimes they close up when, they know they can see the trend. They ain't certain time of the day. If, they're not getting the volume, they'll shut that fucker down. And then I'll be asleep, and then that goddamn delivery truck will come at fucking midnight and wake my ass up. C'est la vie,